So Joel, just to pick it up on Tesla, a question here, and
Yep.
again, I'm not patting myself on the back here, but I am up over probably 64% since the US election. It's only December the 11th. There's a part of me, do you take your profits and sell, or do you add? And the issue for Tesla, for
Yep.
the stock for me, is the valuation is high. And then also the stock is very, very choppy. So in other words, somebody could take their
Yep.
profits and buy at a lower level. But I feel like this momentum isn't going to stop. So what are you seeing with institutional investors, or with all your experience? What's the smart trade here?
Yeah, well, I mean, you said you bought it well. You bought it pre-election. Not too many people I think can say that, and your timing was perfect. So, if for your situation, I say you can't go broke taking some profits, right?
Yeah.
You bring in the registers, never a bad thing, especially a name that's had this type of violent move. But again, with Tesla, this story just it continues to evolve and shift. Investors have come around where people love shorting it. The shorts got absolutely steamrolled in this, and I just struggle to see how the negativity is going to creep back into the name. China data is
Hmm.
getting better. They're opening up showrooms in India as well. And then again, now that Trump, I mean, clearly the issue with Musk is execution. It can be very spotty at times. His timelines are always out of whack. He always overpromises, under delivers initially. But with that said, with a lot less regulation that he has to deal with, I just have to think if I have nothing in Tesla, maybe you buy a quarter of your position today, you get a pullback, you buy
Yeah.
another quarter, and you just be a little bit more
Yeah.
tactical in it. I don't know if I dive headfirst in, but
Hmm.
right now, I mean, the tailwinds are behind it with the Tesla story. There's just not much to pick at.
Right. Speaking of Tesla, it was interesting to see that GM is pulling out of their robo-taxi. That's what's giving Tesla a bit of a boost
Yep.
today. But also, I was looking at Uber as well. I didn't buy it, but I was thinking about it just given the fact of how much people use Uber. But that stock's down by 15% or so on a year-to-date basis, a huge
Yep.
underperformer. What's the story there?
Well, I'll give you some numbers here because I look at it every day. So Uber has
Hmm.
underperformed Tesla since October 11th. So I think Uber rallied 10% on October 11th, post the robotaxi event, which many panned. Since then, Tesla's outperformed by 115%, give or take a couple
Hmm.
percentage points. Just massive
Mm-hmm.
spread there. And Uber, the problem with Uber right now, they're facing multiple headwinds. You mentioned, they had a partnership with Cruise, so that's going to start to be defunded. Waymo is getting a lot of momentum, a little bit grassrootsy, but I know it's big in San Francisco and people absolutely love it. They announced they're going to expand in
Mm-hmm.
Miami and it's going to come to other cities. The thing about San Francisco, it's a very tough city to navigate as well. You have to think in more traditional cities, Waymo's going to have a lot of success. And then you just have, you had the M&A chatter, 5, 6 weeks ago with, potentially Dar and Uber were looking at Expedia, which where he ran for
Right.
16, 10 years prior, but that business is a mess. Then there was, maybe they look at maybe Instacart. But again, here's a Uber up until 2 months ago, 3 months ago was a store that was increasingly just becoming clean, beat and raised, just the momentum was behind his back. And now it kind of goes back to what I said at the top of this kind of one of the earlier segments. There's just right now, there's no appetite to go dumpster diving, catch falling knives, buy stocks with any sort of hair on it. With that said, Uber in the low 60s is very attractive from a valuation point of view. It's
Hmm.
getting pretty too cheap to ignore. So we haven't seen any really kind of real money aggressively kind of, draw the
Okay.
line in the sand and defend him. But I feel like in Uber, we're getting close. Like you could probably buy it in
Yeah.
the low 60s. All right, buy a little bit more, maybe in the mid 50s if you get a pullback, but it is still a business that's everywhere. It's a household name.
Hmm.
Once some of the
Yeah.
noise kind of subsides.
It seems like a household name. I guess one question though is how negative of an impact is Tesla's robotaxi to Uber, or is it too far in the future that we don't really need to worry about it?
Well, that's what couldn't to be determined, right? And so I guess
Yeah.
that's been a big part of the story of the past kind of 6 weeks or so. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so competitive headwinds are building where they weren't really around, or it's just Uber and Lyft, and now you have Waymo coming in, and there's again there's momentum, and then
Yeah.
robotaxi, and there's momentum behind those platforms and behind those companies, and I think that's the risk if they lose that kind of the pricing power that they've enjoyed in so many markets, and we all know pricing has gotten ridiculous, so they're clearly going to have a negative
Mm-hmm.
impact to see their margins as well.
Yeah. Well, Well, the Uber Eats just is not going away. It is just too handy.
Yeah,
Joel,
yeah.
unfortunately, we have to leave it there, but we will have you back to look at what's going to be hot and what to own in 2025. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, Catherine. Take care.
Thank you. You too.